Let's get one thing out of the way really quick. None of these weapons are bad weapons. None of these weapons are weak weapons. These are two of the most powerful bows in the game, and if you choose one over the other, you know what? You're making a fantastic decision either way. From my humble list of opinions, you should definitely try both of them, as both are fantastic weapons and can deliver a lethal punch even to high level targets. But as always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be comparing the Daikyu to the Dread. Now we already have a comparison between the Dread and the Rakta link the cards right now on that one. Now the reason why we're tackling the Daikyu is that recently we got some brand new changes to bows which are absolutely fantastic. Link the cards right now if you don't know what that's about. Basically we got more of everything, alright? More damage, more flight speed in some cases, but the winner clearly was the Daikyu because this one got a huge critical chance base increase from 20% up to 34%, which basically allowed it to run with the big boys, if you want to put it like that. Now let's jump into a stat comparison between the Daikyu and the Dread. Now as per the usual, my friends, we're gonna be doing this completely live, so no voiceover after prepared footage or anything like that. Accuracy 16.7, the same basically for any bow in the game. And when I say bows, I don't mean the lens, okay, that's a different kettle of fish. Charge rate 1 second on the Daikyu and 0.5 seconds on the Dread, and here's one of the big issues. The Daikyu might need a fire rate mod depending on the user, depending on you. Can you handle the 1 second charge time or not? I can't. Honestly, I honestly feel that the Daikyu needs a fire rate mod, especially considering that fire rate mods offer double the benefit on bows. Critical chance, and this was an issue with the Daikyu. It used to be only 20%, but now we got 34% versus 50% on the Dread, the highest base critical chance of all weapons in the game. Critical multiplier is the same, 2.0, magazine of 1, noise silent, punch through 3 meters on the Daikyu, 2.5 meters on the Dread, so it's basically almost the same thing. Reload 0607, now the reload represents how fast you pull another arrow from your quiver, honestly is negligible for the most part. Status chance, a massive 46% on the Daikyu and a decent 20% on the Dread. To be honest, I never thought that status bows were a good idea. I mean, think about it, really? Unless it's slash based, but the Daikyu is not slash based. Take a look at the damage on these weapons. The Daikyu has a lot more damage, okay? A ton more damage, but the problem is puncture based, and puncture is fantastic when it comes to actually dealing damage. Extra damage to heavily armored targets, but the status proc most players simply don't care about. The status proc doesn't apply any damage to your target, it simply reduces the damage they deal to you, whereas the Dread, even with a lower status chance, that one will proc slash. Basically it's got like an 80% chance to proc slash, if not higher, 85%, something like that. And slash is fantastic when it comes to actually dealing damage. So this is why the Daikyu was a bit of a meh bow, but now with the critical chance up, we can use hunter munitions a lot more successfully, and the Daikyu can definitely pack a serious punch. But the question remains, which is better? Now one more thing, guys. The Daikyu is not capable of releasing a half charged arrow or a 75% charged arrow. It just goes back to the standard idle animation. And you know what? That's a bit annoying, especially with about a 1 second charge time, because basically running from mission to mission, especially if you're the type that I don't need fire rate mods, you're gonna be like, oh, I almost got it, try to release it and it goes back to the idle animation. Come on, we all been there and it's freaking annoying. But with the recent changes, we got something that kinda helps with that. When the bow finishes fully charging, any bow, you get that little sparkle effect, that little sparkle effect on the end of the arrow. I mean, check it out, look. You see that? It's a very clear visual effect as long as you have some kind of bright energy and you know your arrow is fully charged and ready to be released. But again, most bows are a bit more comfortable to use than this, simply because yes, you can release a half shot. Now one more thing about the Daikyu. The flight speed is 140 meters a second. Take a look at this, guys. We got, what is that, 68 meters from my target, full shot, releasing at pinpoint accuracy, almost, basically no drop off at all, within 70 meters. That is fantastic. And again, the speed of the projectile is more than respectable. It's not hit scan, okay, but it's close enough, I want to say, especially for a bow. Now, if we're gonna take the Dread and have a bit of a usability comparison between the two, first of all, this one charges a lot faster. It charges a whole lot faster, and of course it has no fire rate mod on it. When it comes to the projectile flight speed, however, is not as fast as the Daikyu. Definitely not. And as you can see, it also has a bit of a drop off to it. It's not very significant, but again, you will need to aim slightly above the heads of enemies if you want your guaranteed one-shots. And again, we are within 65, let's say something like 70 meters. It's not a huge drop off, but again, it is a drop off, and the projectile flight speed is sensible. Now enough about that, let's jump into the actual builds, and we're going to be starting off with the Dread. Nope, no Riven right now. We're going to be talking about Rivens just a tad later. Now this will be a standard build for the Dread. Of course we got damage. Serration is mandatory, my friends, unless you want to play it with Selfish Chroma, then we can talk about elemental mods over Serration, but that's a discussion for another time. Multi-shot, split chamber, vigilante armaments, critical chance, critical damage, point strike, vital sense, hunter munition is mandatory. And I hate myself for saying that, but it is. I'm sorry. It's just too powerful not to include in a standard build on the Dread. And we got 260-60 mods forming viral damage. And I feel that I should explain why the 60-60 mods and why not the 90 mods. You're forming viral damage, right? So you don't need 1,000 procs for it to be good. You just need one good one. That is true, but in the case of the Dread, the highest IPS value is gonna be slash. If I go 60-60 mods, I'm also increasing my chance to apply a slash on my target, because basically the Dread can double dip. You can get your slashes from Hunter Momo crits, and you can get your slashes from the weapon's innate slash value, coupled with the status chance, which right now is 76.5. Shot status chance because of all the multi-shot and the 260-60 mods. And no mods on this build are expensive, alright? None of them. You can farm them easily. Hunter Munitions I think is 5 plat from the trade chat. Malignant Force might cost you 10 plat if you're too lazy to farm it from Corrupted War in the Void. Now it's time to see, my friends, the performance of the mighty Dread. Spawning in level 120 Corrupted Heavy Goons. Now let's see. We're going to be taking just a couple of meters away from our targets, and let's make use out of that fantastic punch through. And we're going to go for roughly a jaw shot just so you can see the punch through in action. We're going to fire 1, 2, 3. The arrow stops in the third target there. We got a one shot on this guy and another one shot on this guy right here. And this guy, 60% HP. That is because the Dread can go to 125% critical chance with point strike alone, and that is just simply beautiful. If you get orange crits, now you're not gonna get orange crits all the time, and a crit is not enough. You need an orange slash to get that 10,000 something slash value per tick. As you can see, one shot on the target, 5,481. So again, it's not gonna be happening all the time. If you got more crit on the weapon and you're securing your chance to obtain orange slashes, then that's gonna be all the better. You can also get a red slash or a red crit like that if you manage to get a crit up from vigilante armaments. But as you can see, with a build such as this, the weapon does definitely shred, and it packs one hell of a punch. Now it's time to see the competition. We're talking about the Daikyu. Now this one is gonna have a bit of a different standard build, because first of all, I can't really play with a weapon with a 1 second charge time. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm gonna go with Vile Acceleration, and this is absolutely beautiful. Basically, it's gonna give me 180% fire rate, because this is a bow at the cost of minus 15% damage that only takes away from my Serration. Now, my friends, if you think that's too much, losing 15% of your Serration, then fine. Well, it's not technically 15% of it. Anyway, never mind about that. If you think the damage negative is too huge on this one, then you can simply go for something like Speed Trigger. I don't advise it, honestly. The damage loss on this one is more than worth the actual fire rate bonus. But that's just my 2 cents. Other than that, you will see that I am using the 90 mods instead of the 60-60 mods. Well, what gives? Why the 60s on the Dread and the 90s on the Daikyu? The Daikyu is a puncture bow. Okay, so I'm not really interested in getting more puncture procs, and I know what you're gonna say. Oh my god, use Fang Fusillade. Guys, we've been over this a million times by now, honestly. I'm gonna go through it one more time. IPS mods aren't really all they're cracked up to be. It will increase your chance of proccing slash, it will make slash proc priority number 1, and it will add the tiniest bit of damage on the weapon. It is not worth it. IPS mods are not worth it unless you have no other option. So I don't recommend Fang Fusillade in general. Link in the cards right now for the full review on the Daikyu, where we tried it with Fang Fusillade over a year ago. And of course Hunter Momo, because Hunter Momo is mandatory. Now let's try out the weapon and see how she performs. Now bear in mind that these builds were the cheap builds, okay? The no Argon Scope builds, because Argon Scope is expensive and blah 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 blah. Punch through in action. Let's see how many targets we can hit. Can we get all 4 of them? I'm gonna go for the first one on a bit of a chin shot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we hit all of them. We hit all of them because look, here's the arrow in the 4th one. And that's what it means to have a larger punch through on a weapon. Let's try it one more time. One more time. Chin shot. Yes, yes. A little higher, maybe. Like that. Nope. Okay, that was bad aiming. But the slashes absolutely murdered the target. You get the point. My point was, more punch through is good punch through. But keep in mind that you can also go for walls with this one, okay? So, or in this case, I can just shoot the ground. Okay, and it's gonna be going straight. Let me show you. There you go. Hey, there it goes. The value of the slashes are fantastic. We're looking at 10,000 easy mode. When it comes to the performance, if you want to compare the numbers, there's not a lot with builds such as this between the Daikyu and the Dread. I would still go for the Dread simply because I can half shot. Okay, and sometimes I release the arrow too quick and it's annoying with the Daikyu. And again, these are bows. You're gonna take your time. You're gonna get the steady aim. You're gonna go for a headshot, hopefully. Please go for a headshot with these weapons. That's the optimal way of playing it. And then I'm gonna be releasing the shot way too soon and it goes to something like this. It's a bit annoying. But again, there's not really much performance differences between the two. Any one you would choose would do fantastically well. But there's still one more thing we need to talk about, right? Rivens! Yes, Rivens do play a factor when it comes to the performance of a weapon. And guys, we got Riven Dispo of 4 out of 5 for both weapons. Now, it's not identical if you want to look over on Warframe Market to get the exact numbers. The problem with comparing a weapon when it comes to Rivens is the fact that who are you really gonna get 2 identical Rivens to make it a fair comparison? Well, that's gonna be hard, right? That's gonna be really hard, and I did not get identical Rivens for these, but close enough. Let's see if you guys approve or not. We got 2 Criticans, 2 beautiful, beautiful Criticans. Take a look at this one. This one is mine. This is one of the first Rivens I ever got in Warframe over a year ago from my buddy Sober. Mwah! Thank you, Sober. I gave him a Pandero for this one. It wasn't bad. And he gave me the Dread. I rolled it though. Multi-shot. Critical chance. Minus... I mean, come on, boys. Look at that. 243%. Critical chance, 122% multi. It's just beautiful, man. I mean, I wish I could frame it. I can't frame it. God damn it, D. Why can't I frame my Rivens? Daikyu Critican, this is a loaner from a friend, a guy that absolutely loves the Daikyu just like I love it. Critical chance 257, 145.7 multi-shot and minus 29.1 damage to Grineer. Now the negative on this one isn't 100% worthless, harmless, sorry. But in our test we're shooting Corrupted, not Grineer, so it's not going to matter. So finally, we can compare with Rivens as well. This is just awesome, hold on. So the Riven build is gonna be like this. Okay, for obvious reasons. We got bladed rounds because we can no longer make Varl on the target on the weapon, but we don't really care because we got a 172.4% critical chance thanks to the Riven, and our critical multiplier should be going through something like 6.8. Yeah, 6.8 when bladed rounds pops, but first we're gonna have to get a kill. So first off, the Daikyu, and then we're gonna be going to the Dread. I should say something, shouldn't I? Yes, Rivens are not needed for these weapons, okay? You're gonna be doing just fine without Rivens, but with Rivens, everything is just better. What can I say, my friends? It adds a whole lot of power on the weapon to one-shots. Slashes are absolutely freaking huge. Look at him go! Look at him go! Absolutely beautiful. Look at the value of the slashes. 32,000! Thank you, bladed rounds. You are beautiful. Absolutely freaking beautiful. It's gonna be super hard for me to actually pick a winner. Because look what this weapon can do. And you think the Dread is any weaker? Far from it. The Dread is still one of the best, perhaps even the best bow in the game. Traditional style, leave me alone with your silly lenses and all whatnot. I love the lens too, but shh. Now, the Dread. The Riven setup for the Dread. Now, this one doesn't have a fire rate mod on it, because it doesn't need it. Okay, charge rate is 0.5. With vial acceleration on the Daikyu, I got 0.36. That's one advantage to the dread. You don't need to go for a fire rate mod. If you do though, it's even more beautiful. So we got Argon Scope instead of a fire rate mod, the Dread Critical End, we got Bladed Rounds, Hunter Munitions, basically the same build as before. So let's try it out and see how she performs. You guys ready for red slashes, red crits from the Mighty Dread? We're gonna have to get a kill as before. Oh, look, so beautiful. Fantastic. 15,199. That's gotta be a one. No, not a one shot just yet. There we go. There we go. There we go. That is a whole lot better now. Take a look at the values. Take a look at those beautiful, beautiful values. 24,000. And you know what? The value of the slashes aren't gonna get as high as the Daikyu because the Daikyu has a higher base damage. But with this one, you get sparkly bits. And it's not like you cannot one shot. Of course you can one shot. Take a look. Beautiful. Absolutely freaking gorgeous. And we're approaching that time where I need to kind of like pick a winner, and it's really hard for me, to be honest. Let me say what I don't want to do. I don't want to pick a winner based on math, based on paper. I don't feel that does you any justice or it does you any favors. From my point of view, the Dread is the easier bow to play with. Not necessarily the easier bow to aim with, but the easier bow to play with. She's a bit faster, a bit more nimble, and you don't need to use a fire rate mod on the Dread, so that's an advantage. Instead of that fire rate mod, you can use something like Argon Scope if you got it, right? Or more multi-shot with Vigilante Armaments. It doesn't matter. The point is, it does offer up one additional mod space. Then again, you can be the kind of player that says, man, I don't really mind the 1 second charge time. Then more power to you, that's absolutely fine. But for me, again, that is the main drawback to the Daikyu. I cannot release half shots and I cannot play it without at least one fire rate mod. But as soon as the Daikyu hits the guaranteed critical chance and all you need is Point Strike and Argon Scope, you don't even need the Riven, then the Daikyu simply will be outperforming the Dread when it comes to a slash build. And the best builds, at least for these bows, are definitely slash builds. My friends, that's gonna do it. Again, no matter which you choose, you're not making a mistake. If you got a Riven for either of the two, go for that one. Don't worry, the guy with the Dread isn't gonna do more damage than the guy with the Daikyu because the weapon is better. He's gonna do more damage because he either got more lucky or is more active in a mission. And let's be honest, we don't need the best for anything in Warframe. We don't need the best, maybe for Eidolon Hunts. Okay, I retract that. Maybe for Eidolon Hunts is where we need to go with some cookie cutter setups. But outside of that, just pick the one you like more. And rest assured, these are absolute powerhouses when it comes to bows at the very least. Lens not included. That's gonna do it, my friends. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you got any sorts of feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. Also, in the comment section down below, please suggest some goddamn content because I'm running out of ideas. Honestly, I am. Oh, my favorite? You wanna know my favorite? Still the Dread. Bye, guys. See you next time.